This is lesson 3 about primary storage. Today we're going to look at virtual memory and why it is needed. Your homework is due, so you need to hand this in today. Remember the difference between primary and secondary storage. Primary storage is within our computer, RAM or ROM. RAM is volatile, ROM is not. RAM holds the current instructions for the programs that we are running, whereas ROM holds the boot sequences. Secondary storage, remember, holds data that we want to save, which is non-volatile. Here's an abstracted view of how memory works. On the left you can see RAM, on the right you can see our hard disk or our hard drive. As you can see, there's usually significantly more space on our hard drive than there is in RAM. Remember that ROM holds the BIOS or the boot instructions. That tells the CPU to load part of the operating system from the hard drive into RAM. Here you can see we've moved part of the operating system, but this generally wouldn't be all of the operating system. When you start opening more applications or more programs, these are loaded into RAM. Here you can see we have a video editing app, a graphics app, and a word processing app in RAM. However, this might cause a problem. You can see my RAM is full. So let's have a look what happens when we wanted to open another program. Here you can see I'm trying to open Spotify, but there's no room for Spotify in our RAM. In our hard disk we have a small amount of space which is reserved for applications that we're not using, or last used if we have a choice between them. This is called virtual memory. We can make way for a new program by shifting an old program to the hard drive. We might still have our word processing application open with our graphics app, our video editing app and our operating system, but it might be that our word processing app is not being used. We're not typing at the moment. So what we could do is we can move that across to the hard drive. In this instance, we've not been using the video editing app and it doesn't need processing time. So we're going to move it to the hard disk. That gives us that space, and you can see Spotify has now moved into RAM. So we can continue using our computer, using Spotify, the graphics app and the word processing application. Now, we have some problems here. If we wanted to use the video editing app, it's now in the hard drive or the hard disk. All we do is swap out one of the other items and replace it with our video editing app. So if we weren't using the word processing app, we'd do a swap. The word processing app would go into the hard drive and our video editing app would go back into RAM. This makes it seem like we've got more memory than we've actually got. But remember, the hard drive is a significant away in terms of distance from the motherboard. So that means that it's slow to move that data. So we've got to swap all that data in and out because the CPU is only going to read data from RAM. Please watch this video to give you more of an overview of what virtual memory is. Here is some keywords. Can you try and fill in the blanks on the page which has a title, Virtual Memory? You should have got an answer similar to the following. Virtual memory is actually the hard drive or hard disk space which acts as RAM, although it operates a lot more slowly than RAM. The next thing I want you to do is try and fill out the positives and negatives of virtual memory. You might want to go back in the video to watch this. Here's a quick recall task. Find this page in your workbooks and tell me what the 3 C's are that affect CPU speed. you should have come to the conclusion that they were cache, clock speed and cores. Can you try and complete the section which says the amount of RAM? Why does the amount of RAM affect the speed of a computer? Pause the video and complete this task now. Okay, so you should have come to a similar answer to the following. The more RAM we have, the more programs that we can have open and be working on concurrently. This allows for faster programming. Your next task is a series of true or false statements. Please move the blocks under either true or false. Here are the answers. Green is true, red is false. Please check your answers and then correct anything that you got wrong.